Okay. So Councillor Drawn, you're online.
Yes, I am.
Okay. David Gundrum, online.
I am.
Okay. And who else do we have online? Third person. And who's our third person?
There's three different people.
Who's the third person?
There, I forget the names, it's on the speaking notes.
Okay. Okay, call to order. Any declarations of conflict of interest? None. Approval of agenda, there's one item. Rezoning vacant lands, McWilliams Road, Montgomery Heights subdivision, PID numbers 11-00528 and 193284. Senior planner Laurel Palmer will be doing the presentation, correct, Laurel? Okay. And it's to amend Appendix A, future land use map of the city of Charlottetown from medium density residential to institutional, low density residential to institutional, low density, and low density residential to medium density residential, and amend Appendix G, zoning map of the Charlottetown zoning and development bylaw from medium density mixed use, MUR, to institutional and low density residential and low density residential, R2, to institutional, and from low density residential single R2S to medium density mixed use residential MUR. Motion to approve the agenda? Good, all good? Councillor Drawn, no problem?
No problem.
Okay. It was moved by the Deputy Mayor Yankoff and seconded by Councillor McAleer, correct? Okay. Okay, tonight's public meeting, I should start off by doing our acknowledgement. So we appreciate that the land in which we gather is the traditional unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq First Nation, and we have occupied this territory since time immemorable. Tonight's public meeting is to hear comments, questions, or concerns on the following applications. I read the rezoning, and it's vacant lands, McWilliams Road, Montgomery Heights subdivision, PID numbers 11-00528 and 193284. As I said, Laurel Palmer will be the presenter, or the staff official or staff person. Presenter, Adam Clark. Is Adam here? Adam is the Director of Public Works with the Department of Transportation Infrastructure. And I think Mark McDonald's down there with his crew from CBCL Limited. So when we get this going, you can come up and sit on the table to my left. Okay? So the meeting is also live streamed in YouTube, and if you want to watch it, all you do is go to our charlottetown.ca/video, and you can get the presentation that will take place here tonight. We do have everyone here except Councillor Ramsey. He is out of the province. And I see one member of the planning board, and that is Lee McDonald. I don't see any other members. And we do have residents joining us in teams. Robin Thompson, correct? Are you there, Robin? Yes?
Yes.
Brendan Shepherd?
Yes.
And Lindsay Hanson.
Yes.
Okay, so, nope, I also confirm that Dave Gundrum is there. Dave, are you there? Our Manager of Planning and Development.
I'm here, Your Worship.
And Councillor Bob Duran, which I already noted earlier. So I'm going to call on the Deputy Mayor to introduce our topic for this evening. And take it over there, Deputy.
Thank you, Your Worship, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City of Charlottetown's Mayor and Council Chamber. So just to briefly go over the the agenda for this evening. There'll be a brief presentation by staff that will outline to you the application, followed by a presentation by the applicant. And after that, we'll turn it over to you folks that are here. Everyone has 5 minutes to come up to the podium and speak. And from there, then we'll turn it over to those folks that have called in through Teams. And from there, then we'll open it up to council to seek any clarification from either staff or from the applicant. And from there, if people have additional questions, concerns, submissions, can be received right up until tomorrow at noon. And other than that, we just ask that we all show decorum and take our turn when it's our turn to speak. And from there, I'll just turn it over to His Worship. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy. And Deputy Mayor Yankoff is our Chair of the Standing Committee for Planning, Development, and Heritage, so she oversees all these Planning Board, Heritage meetings, and our Standing Committee meetings. So I will call on, I believe, Laurel, will you present first? And then we'll ask our partners from the province and CBCL. Laurel? Thank you, Laurel.
Good evening, Your Worship, members of council, ladies and gentlemen of the public. I'm not going to give the description of the land again. His Worship has already read that. If I can get this to work. So the surrounding context for the land. The property, it's bounded to the north. First of all, this is the property that's outlined in red and identified as subject properties. It's bounded to the north by low-density residential housing on Holmes Lane, consisting of R1N and R2S zoned lands. So Holmes Lane is here, R1S, and R2S here. To the east by institutional zone land, Lucy Montgomery School and McWilliams Road with medium-density housing consisting of MUR and R3T zone lands. So the school, R3T, and MUR zone land, which is mixed-use residential. To the south is low-density residential housing on Norman Drive and Terra Heights consisting of R1L and R2S zone lands. So Norman Drive is here, and Terra Heights is just right here. And to the west with low-density housing on Livingston Drive and medium-density housing on Emily Drive and Lucy Crescent. So Livingston is here, and then Lucy Crescent is here with MUR, low-density, single-detached residential here. So the property is currently zoned MUR, medium-density mixed-use residential, R2S, low-density residential single, and R2 low-density residential, and is vacant undeveloped land totaling approximately 9.49 hectares or 23.45 acres. The purpose of the request, Government of Prince Edward Island has requested to rezone the property to allow for construction of a new elementary school on the site. The applicant is proposing to construct a new public road which will connect Terra Heights to Emily Drive and further subdivide the property along the south and west boundaries for low-density and medium-density housing. And I should note that that road isn't new to this application. That was proposed for the Montgomery Heights subdivision as it was laid out in the East Royalty Master Plan. So that is already in our planning documents. The proposed road will provide a connection from Emily Drive to McWilliams Road to the east. So the zoning and development bylaw states that before amending the regulations of this bylaw or rezoning any parcel of land, council shall conduct a public meeting to receive the views and opinions of the public and the applicant. In accordance with Section 3.10.4 of the Zoning and Development Bylaw, on April 8th, 2025, City Council approved the request to proceed to public consultation. On April 16th, 2025, written notification was sent to property owners located within 100 meters, 328 feet of the subject property. A total of 96 letters were sent to property owners advising them of the public meeting to solicit their comments and feedback. To date, I did have that we did receive no comments, but I did actually receive one this morning and there were concerns stated regarding the construction of the road, and that they had concerns about tree buffers. So I believe in the package to council, we stated that we didn't receive any responses, but I did find one a little later today, and I put it on your chair, so everybody does have a copy of that letter. This is the original Montgomery Heights subdivision concept plan. And in this, you can see the road connector that was planned from McWilliams over to Emily Drive at that time, and the connections to Terra Heights. And from there, I'm going to hand the application over to the province and CBCL to provide further details. And if there's any questions following that I'm able to answer or clarify any comments or anything from the bylaw, I'm happy to do so.
So, Adam, could you just take this? Oh, well, you can sit next to Laurel, if you wish. Yeah, good. And use that mic right there. Mark, you're also, yeah. And please just introduce yourselves for the public record, and you should be able to.
Sure, thank you.
Can you activate that, Jason?
Just get up here, just 1 second.
Just press the button to your right there, Adam. Yep, okay, just introduce yourself and then just hand it over.
So,
Or you can introduce both.
Sure. Adam Clark, Director of Public Works and Planning with the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure. And to my left is Mark McDonald with CBCL Limited.
Thank you.
So thank you, Your Worship, and council, staff, and residents for coming out this evening. Like I said, I'm Adam Clark. If we get the next slide. Adam Clark with the Department of Transportation. I have a couple of my colleagues here as well. I have Ramon Darceneau-McKenzie here and Matt Langeal as well from the department. And also have Tim Gallant from CBCL as well. So hopefully between the 5 of us, we can provide enough information on the proposed development, proposed rezoning, and answer any questions that folks may have. Sometimes people get a little confused as to why the Department of Transportation is here talking about a building project. But my division, Public Works and Planning, essentially is tasked with overseeing all building construction on behalf of the province. So that's why transportation is involved in this building rezoning or land rezoning piece. Who's controlling the slides? Anyone? Oh, we're moving. Something happened there.
That's your handheld mouse.
Yeah.
Back and forth. Pretty simple.
Yep, there you are. Okay.
Okay. So I apologize for having my back to the gallery here. It doesn't feel quite right. And I apologize that there's somewhat repetition here between some of the information on our slides and what Laurel presented. So we're essentially here to provide an overview of land that we're seeking to get rezoned to allow us to construct a new elementary school in the East Royalty area. Our preferred location for a new elementary school within the LM Montgomery catchment is essentially the area that Laurel identified, a section of property bounded between McCrae Drive and McWilliams Road, rapid growing area of East Royalty, and the goal is to add capacity to the LM Montgomery catchment. So when I say new school, we're not talking about the approach of Sherwood School where we're building a new school and we're going to tear down an old school. This is a new school that will complement the existing school. Both schools are going to remain, so I just want to be clear on that. We're not proposing to build a school, tear down the existing school. So it's 2 schools to add capacity to this catchment that is beyond capacity currently. So a little bit more detail on the property, 24 acres, or 23.45 acres, roughly 24 acres, shown by the red boundary on the drawing here, essentially located behind and beside the existing LM Montgomery School. It's vacant property now, so it hasn't been developed. As Laurel showed, there is an approved development concept for the land now. So it is part of the Montgomery Heights subdivision plan. So Lucy Crescent up to the red boundary line has already been constructed, as, Emily Drive up into the red boundary line has been constructed, as well as the Lucy Crescent that you can see on that drawing now. So that has been done. There's been no work occur on the site that the province is looking to acquire yet. We've identified the property as available for purchase from the developer and for development of a new school. As far as what the province's plan, somewhat similar to the original concept, other than we are trying to expand the institutional zone contained within the development. So the blue areas that you'll see on that drawing, the lighter blue is the existing LM Montgomery property. The darker blue would be the areas that we're looking to have rezoned as institutional as well, so that we can co-locate a new school on the same property. The reason we want to co-locate the schools is because it allows us to share services between the two schools, right? So we can get into sharing gyms, sharing multi-purpose rooms, sharing playgrounds and other services on the site. And one of the big bonuses to having them co-located is for busing purposes. So we can use a common bus drop-off, expand the existing bus drop-off facilities, and use that for dropping off for both schools, similar to what happens at Glen Stewart Elementary, Stratford Elementary as well. So that if two students coming from the same home, going to two different schools, can get off the same bus, but walk into two different schools, so that's a real bonus. We've also allowed ourselves space within that darker blue area for a future early years center. So it's not part of the school construction that's planned now, but there is space to build that early years center on that site as well, which would be a complementary facility to the two other educational facilities on the site. The orange areas shown on the site are kind of the remnant lands that are left on the other side of the streets, I'll call it. The plan there would be to maintain those areas as residential, although our focus priority for the project is to develop the school land. We would maintain the other side of the street as residential and basically carry that Emily Drive single-family home, townhouse, semi-detached development through Emily Drive out to McWilliams Road. The green area on the site would be left as open space, left undeveloped. There is a fairly significant drainage path that does move through the site, so it would be left as green space with the addition of some stormwater detention facilities so that we can control stormwater coming off of our site. It became obvious when we were looking at the property that we couldn't just purchase this property and develop a school on it without, I guess, maintaining the road connectivity that was planned in the previous concept. And that's the reason for the road connectivity being maintained in there now, is that we, in order to maintain what's in the East Royalty Master Plan for traffic connections, we've maintained those connections to Emily and Terre Heights. But I probably will just turn it over at this point to Mark, to my left here, who's been more involved in the road design and some of the site design elements, to talk about some of the road considerations parking lot access, some of the active transportation features that we hope to incorporate into the project.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Your worship, councilors, staff, and residents behind me. Yeah, as Adam mentioned, and Laurel, my name is Mark McDonald. I'm a transportation engineer with CBCL here in Charlottetown. I think a lot of what I was going to say has probably already been mentioned, but just to expand a little bit on the roads. The roads were kind of laid out to provide a sufficient amount of space for development of the new school, and also, as Adam mentioned, to maintain the connectivity, I guess, and the connections from Terra Heights, the existing north end of Terra Heights, and up to, it'll connect to the existing cul-de-sac at Emily, and then over to McWilliams. The road, both roads basically will be the exact same cross-section, kind of a standard city cross-section. This image right here shows that, just two-lane road, curbed, with a 3-meter wide active transportation trail on one side, within a 20 meter or 66-foot wide right-of-way. On both streets, maybe I'll just get you to bounce back there, Adam. The active transportation trail is would be available for pedestrians, cyclists, etc. Any other modes of active transportation. And on both streets, the trail would be located adjacent to the school site. So yeah, there's just kind of a bit of a look at the school. You can see the school footprint. Right there. There's a sports field and a playground planned over toward the kind of the southwest corner of it. And we're showing a couple of parking lots with access off the new roadway, the east-west roadway. All the new streets will have full servicing, water, sanitary, storm as well. So the storm system, as Adam had, it'll drain into the detention area there, shown in the green space that Adam had already pointed out. There's also a new, Adam touched, I guess, on the bus, the existing bus parking lot for LM Montgomery will be expanded and reconfigured slightly to accommodate more buses and provide a pick-up and drop-off area for both schools. It'll be expanded a bit and probably a second access to it off of the new roadway. There's also a pickup drop-off loop in front of the new school. And then there's a visitor parking kind of enclosed within that loop. It's a one-way loop, counterclockwise. And then staff parking would be primarily in the other lot over here. Roughly 700 meters of new road altogether. Don't think I have anything else on that at the moment. Back to you, Adam.
Yeah, so just in closing, I don't know that we have a whole lot more that we can add to the conversation other than that, and we're available for questions. We just flash maybe the concept elevations for the school. For those of you that aren't aware, the plan would be to mimic, for the most part, the new Sherwood Elementary School with the new East Royalty Elementary School. This slide just shows the existing, I guess it's Sherwood. The only difference would be we would likely revisit colors and potentially exterior finishes for East Royalty, so that we have a bit of providing it its own kind of stamp. So in closing, I guess we just flash this up, and I'll mention that if we get to the point where when we get to the point where we have advanced school site plans and school drawing plans, the Department of Education would be hosting an open house and inviting people in to kind of gather more specific details about what the project would look like on that site. Should we be successful with rezoning the property and moving the project forward. So that's it for us.
Laurel, your case closed? You close your case?
Yes, I guess the only other thing I can clarify is that the MUR zoning, there seems to be some confusion on that being a zone for apartment buildings. That isn't. That zone does not allow multi-unit apartment buildings. It's kind of a specific zone that we developed for East Royalty, and to allow a mix of housing topologies, so it would be a percentage of single detached, semi-detached, and townhouses. So there's only certain percentages of each that you can build within that zone. And there is currently, part of that area is already zoned MUR. The only new portion, if I had the pointer, maybe I'll grab that from you. So the only portion that is changing to MUR would be this portion and this portion. Currently, that would be zoned R2S right now. So right now, currently, that would allow for all semi-detached dwellings, and now with this zoning, it would be a mix of singles, semis, and townhouses they would have to build.
Okay. Deputy, did you want to just open her up? Okay. So if you could please, when you come to the mic, just give your name. You're from Charlottetown, East Royalty, nothing specific. And the mic is now open, and please try to stay close to the mic. You don't have to touch it, right, Jason?
Should be good.
Okay.
Fresh batteries.
And it has fresh batteries, so we can stay here for a long time.
Brand new.
Okay. It's open mic. Yeah. And we just want to make sure you get 5 minutes to speak. And we try to we're just going to restrict it to one at a time. Thank you. Go ahead, just your name and where you live. Thank you.
Your worship, councilors, staff. Lupe, I live in East Royalty. I just have a number of questions. There's currently a drainage easement behind my property, which is essentially backing onto the proposed childcare. Is that going to be maintained?
Okay. Do you have a number of questions? Do you have?
Just a few, not
Okay.
not a lot.
Could they just take them down and then answer them? Is that all right?
Yeah,
Adam,
no, that's fine.
Mark?
In this location?
No, I'll steal it. Here, I'll steal it. Up. There you go. Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes, so where they have the proposed child care center, there's a drainage easement there with trees and the like. I just would like to know if that's going to be maintained. Secondly, was there any consideration to have the child care adjacent to the school? And what was the rationale for putting it behind homes that are all retired people? Just a question. And the final question I have is, what is the timeline for the proposal for the childcare? Is it something that's going to be maintained with the school or at the same time, or is there an actual timeline? That's all I got.
Okay, they'll answer them right here now. Adam or Mark or Laurel. Mr. Clark?
Yeah, I'll try. If there is maybe back up a little bit. So our plan for, recognize there is a bit of a drainage issue through the rear of the existing LM school that kind of, I'll say, is kind of heading directly at our new school footprint, so kind of in the middle of their playgrounds. Our plan is to intercept that stormwater at the top end of the site and channel it down to the new roadway, so that proposed new roadway, so that we're getting stormwater into the public right of way, and that we can send it down in a responsible fashion to our pond.
Okay.
Yeah.
But my concern is the top left, that square for the proposed
Yep.
learning center.
Yep.
There's a drainage easement up there
Yep.
with existing trees. Is that going to be maintained with the with the proposal for the childcare?
So certainly if there's an easement, the easement will be maintained, and maybe I can answer your other two questions as well. So that, I wouldn't put a lot of stock into that property line that, where that EYC is shown. We've just kind of graphically shown, because we have that large field up there. So there's no, we haven't set in stone where that EYC is going. It could go anywhere up there. We do not have any money in the provincial capital budget to build this EYC. So your question on timeline is, I can't answer that, right? There's no approved money. There is money for the school in the 5-year capital budget. There is no money for this EYC.
Right, okay. And was there ever consideration to put the EYC adjacent to the proposed school? In my mind, that would be more appropriate to have the younger kids, it just from a situational point of view, instead of putting it behind, like I said, 12 homes with all retired people.
Yeah, we are, I guess, part of the motivation is to pull it away from the school a little bit while still keeping it on the same side of the road, so that the children that are there don't need to cross the road to get to a playground or a sports field. So we want to keep it on the same side of the road, but pull it away so that we can avoid all these morning drop-offs and kind of pull some of the traffic, just disperse it a little bit rather than concentrate it all in one section of the roadway. That's the motivation for kind of pushing it up in that area. Does it need to back onto Holmes Lane properties? Probably not, but there's a lot of acreage there to accommodate that.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
If you just please, you have to go close to the mic. We're getting feedback that they cannot hear you. Can she actually take the mic? Yeah. You're my height, so you'll probably get right into it.
Good evening, Your Worship.
I'm not that tall.
Everyone. My name is Claire Kelly. I live kitty corner to Angus Drive and Croker. So it's kind of in my backyard. My first question is, I'd like to know the rationale as why we're changing that zoning from an R1S to an MUR. Now, the R1S zone, the permitted uses, there's R1S zone in the R1S, or the R2S, plus the difference between the R2S and the mixed-use residential, we have 6 more things in there. One of them is group home, one of them is a boarding and rooming house, community care facility, nursing home, inns, bed and breakfast. So I want to know why you want to change that particular zoning. Is it for future development for a group home maybe? Or a bed and breakfast or whatever? I don't understand the rationale as to why that would have to be rezoned. And I'd also like to know what the time frame is for the building of the new school, or do you have that yet?
Yep.
Okay.
So, is that all?
Do you have a couple of more questions?
No, I'm just, the infrastructure is not in there yet, is it?
No,
Like your
so,
water, your sewer lines, where is that infrastructure going to be tied into?
I guess on your first question, why the rezoning? And I think it really, there certainly isn't any malicious intent here where we're trying to sneak a
I'm not
facility.
suggesting there
But
is.
so the priority of the development is the school, and that's our
Mm-hmm.
focus. But I think when it comes down to the kind of the remnant properties or the residential properties on the other side of the street, it kind of boils down to what Laurel said about the MUR zone allowing us to have a bit of a mix.
But it's already allowed, the mix is already there for duplexes, single-family detached. But the MUR zone includes group home facilities. And that's my issue, because that's in my backyard. And I don't want a group home being built there, or a rooming house built there. I spent quite a substantial amount of money on my property over the last number of years. I have an in-ground pool in my backyard with a 6-foot fence around it. And I don't think I would be very pleased if there was ever a group home or anything like that built there. I'm planning on being there for a while yet. And I just like, I would like to see it remain as an R1 or an R2S.
So
That's my comment.
The MUR, basically, because we are kind of more advanced in our school planning than we are on the residential planning, the MUR basically, in our opinion, gave us flexibility because we didn't know where we wanted to put, duplex A, duplex B, single-family home A or B. So we left it as MUR so that,
It wasn't left as MUR. It's
Well-
been changed to an MUR,
no, not all of it.
which
no.
allows group homes to be built there. That little square section is in my backyard.
Yeah.
Right down at the very bottom.
Yeah.
And all I'm asking is, I don't understand the reasoning why that needs to be changed if all you're going to put in there are duplexes and semi-detached and outhouse. Because that's already in your R1S. Your mixed-use residential zone includes your R1S zone regulations, your permitted uses.
And the lot
So when
sizes are
you
the
change
same.
that to an MUR, what you're doing is allowing group homes to go in there. There's 6 other things. It's not the same as an R2S.
Okay.
An MUR is not the same. So
Noted.
that's all I'm saying,
So
and I just
to-
kind of want you to give some consideration to
To
that.
answer your question on time, there is money in the provincial capital 5-year budget this year, so fiscal year 25, 26, to start construction of the school. So our intent would be to start this summer.
Okay. Great, that's good to hear. I'm glad to see that there's more schools
For the
going in there.
school. No plans on the residential, to be clear.
Yeah. Okay, well, I hope I'm gone when that,
No, you'll be around. Stay around for the next
thank you
election.
very much.
Yep, no problem.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Kennedy, and I live at 9 Norman Drive. So on that slide there, right behind all that orange. I've been living in this neighborhood since August 1997, so for 28 years, in what one would consider a mature neighborhood. It has been here for very, very many years, a lot longer than Montgomery Heights. There have been many meetings over the years with regards to the zoning of this property, and I was at every single one of them. It was decided back then it would be low-density residential R2S, which is what we prefer. There's now the proposal to change the medium density to multi-use residential, and as this lady already said, it can be used for other things. And my understanding of the mixed-use residential is it also allows the uses that are permitted in the R3 zone. Is that correct?
R1S.
Use as permitted in the R3 zone, subject to the regulations.
Yes, Your Worship, the uses that are permitted in the R3 zone. So what it's saying is it's listing these specific uses, but it's subject to the regulations in the R3 zone. So the setbacks, the, like the density, that kind of stuff. It's not the additional uses that are listed in the R3 zone. It's subject to the parameters that it's listed in the R3 zone for those specific uses that are outlined in the MUR zone.
So
If
no,
that's,
no apartments.
no,
Okay.
that does not
That's cool.
allow apartments.
And so having a single unit behind me is not the issue. What I'm having the real issue is the townhouses. I agree with the lady that was just here. It is a single-family residential. I don't feel the need, there is a need to change it from R2S, what it is currently, to MUR. I know that the the Terra Heights extension has already been approved, but we're going to be putting more traffic onto an already narrow street. The subdivision has no sidewalks in this area, and people need to feel safe when taking their kids out, or the children and their pets for walks. There's no public transportation, I'm just going to throw that out there, just because that's never happened yet on a real consistent basis. So throughout the day, if people want to go downtown to go to need groceries, they need to go to the doctor. They all have to have a vehicle because transportation only runs twice a day, 6:45, 6:46 actually, and 7-Eleven, and 4:10 and 4:45. Not convenient. So I do respectfully request that the planning board take into consideration the residents in this area that have lived there for many, many years. The zoning of the area is being R2S along the southern and western boundaries. And look at the decisions that were made in the past with regards to the zoning. Take into consideration the traffic you're going to be putting into areas that aren't going to be able to handle it. I do know McWilliams Road can't even handle the traffic they have today, so what's going to happen there? And I do love the fact of the school going there, don't get me wrong. Like, I'll switch, I'll take the childcare behind me if you want to do that. The school needs to happen. I like the idea. I really would like you to maybe revisit the plan, come up with something different, maybe different placement for the school, the early childhood educational center, the soccer field, parking lots, and maybe rezone me institutional and another area. You can have the multi-residential, multi-use residential, and that's all I have really to say.
Thank you. Adam, do you want to follow up? Do you think you got all the information that she was asking for?
Yeah, I thought it was more of a kind of a comment directed at council, but
Well, it's to both. Like, whoever's making the decision on changing it to MUR, and for those that are building it, maybe reconsider what they're doing with that land. Like, really, I don't feel the need to go mixed-use residential on a sub area that is already R2S. And let's not even talk about the Norman Drive extension. But that's all I have to say with that.
Does that mean we're going to get no water?
We just have to keep people at the, can we just get some of the comments? Did you?
I just have a clarification.
Okay. For the engineers or for the person that just spoke?
For Laurel.
Okay, this is a question of clarification.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Laurel, just looking at that map again, I just want to go back a minute, just because I was hearing some different properties as to where, no, go back to where you were. Yep, that one. So we see the north-south proposed right away. I think that comes from Emily Drive. Yeah, and then there's east-west proposed right away. So currently, the only ones that are being proposed to be changed to MUR, did you say that they were the ones down in the southwest corner? And those two right there, were they the only areas that are being proposed to be changed to MUR, and that the one over off McWilliams Road, we got the proposed, we got a stormwater, then we get open space, then we got the MUR there. Is that already zoned MUR right there, the one over closer to McWilliams Road?
Yes, Your Worship. This is currently zoned MUR right here. This small piece here is currently zoned R2S.
Right.
So that
And the one beside it?
piece would allow all semi-detached, and then this is currently zoned R2S.
Okay,
So that would be all semi-detached. So with the MUR zone, it has to be, like, there's a formula, so it's 25% semi-detached, 25% townhouse, and 35% single detached dwellings within that zone. It does allow for nursing home community care facility. However, you would need a substantial amount of land to accommodate that. And we do have land slated for that in Montgomery Heights subdivision further to the east.
right.
Now, the group home, actually, our resident was quite astute to pick that up because I was actually unaware of that myself. Somebody must have snuck that in at some time when they amended the bylaw. But when you look at the regulations for the MUR zone, They specifically lay out specific uses, which doesn't include a group home within that zone category. So the section that just deals with group homes, it does specify a group home can go in the MUR zone, but the MUR zone doesn't actually have that use listed as a permitted use. So I would question that. I think that this zone would actually trump that section. So we're going to actually have to look into that to see, there seems to be a conflict there.
Okay, can we just, Councillor McKinnon, do you want to have a question to clarify? Yeah.
Engineer. Does the province own the new proposed section that's going from R2S to MUR? Does the province own it, and is the province looking to get into building houses, or what's?
So the province doesn't own any of the property yet. We haven't purchased the property.
Okay. We're just going to open the mic. Mic's open again, please. Again, this is just a public consultation. No decisions are being made here this evening. We're here to listen. Anyone else?
Montgomery Heights Inc. Sorry. Montgomery Heights Inc. currently owns
Yeah, she was.
those pieces of.
No, just 1 second, please. Okay. We try to keep it to one person.
Okay, well, I'll
Okay,
sit
because it
back
was
then.
just identified. Yes, but again, this is just to get information. I find that it's an opportunity. Adam, did you want to bring anything up?
No, we haven't acquired the property, so we don't own any of the property.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to check with teams, and I'm going to ask, is it Robin? Hold on. Robin?
Yeah.
Brendan or Lindsay? Who wants to go first?
I actually have a question here, Robin.
Okay, go
Can you
ahead,
hear me
Robin.
okay? Yeah, so I
Robin
actually do
Thompson.
support, Robin Thompson. I live on Terra Heights.
Yes.
Just backing up to that area that you're speaking about being a mixed residential. So I actually very much support the last lady's comments of keeping it zoned the way it is. My other question though is when that road is coming through, so through to Terra Heights, I kind of have a part A, part B. Is that active sidewalk or whatever you call it,
Transportation
the
path.
active laneway, is that going to carry through to Terra Heights as well? Like, is there going to be construction along our street at some point, or is it just going to be starting with that new part?
Okay. Do you have any other questions, Robin?
And then my other question is the trees and the bushes along the back of our property that come up against that new mixed residential, are they going to remain in place?
Is that it, sir? Robin, is that it?
Yeah.
So there's Mark and Adam. Who's going to take it on?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I don't think there's any current plan to extend a sidewalk or the active transportation trail down Terra. The trees, so just to clarify, you're talking about the tree line kind of perpendicular to Terra?
Did you hear that question?
Yeah,
Back or
yeah,
side of your
exactly.
property?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think right now it would just be the trees to be cleared within the right of way for the extension. No plans to remove any
Okay.
of the trees at this time.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Good, Robin? Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Brendan or Lindsay?
Hi, this is Brendan Shepherd. Lindsay Hampton's also with me.
Okay.
We live on McWilliams Road.
Okay.
We were looking at the original site plan for the Montgomery Heights, and if you see the little MUR zone that's right north of the green space, there's that little orange jet that connects to McWilliams Road. That's a storm runoff, and I'm just wanting to confirm if that's going to remain as storm runoff.
Any other questions,
Nope, that's the only one I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mark or Mr. Adam Clark?
Yes, that'll remain. It probably should be shown as green space instead of orange, now that you mention it.
Can you just point that out there, Mark? Do you get the pointer there,
Laurel's got the pointer.
Laura?
Can you?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Green space? That would-
Correct. Yeah, that would remain a stormwater flow path.
Good, Brendan? Lindsay?
That's it. Yep. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. So we'll color that in green, right? Okay. Any other comments, questions? Because if not, I want to turn it over to council. Good. Okay, I have Councillor Bernard, and you want to go first, Councillor Bernard, and then Councillor McAleer.
Question to Adam or Mark. I'm just wondering, Adam, you had mentioned that the province haven't bought the land yet. And I'm just wondering, the land you're looking at buying, is that just the land that's it's institutional, it's in the blue? Or you're looking to buy what?
No, we were looking to acquire if the 23.45 acres, so that entire parcel that was shown on a previous slide, which would include the mixed-use residential and the green space, and all the institutional land.
So the province is interested in buying land to build homes on? And that's the MOU you want to change?
The province's original intent was to purchase property to develop a school, a new school in that catchment.
Yep.
It became apparent to us that we needed to construct roads through this parcel in order to maintain road connectivity in that neighborhood.
Yep.
So that, by default, in doing that, leaves us with some properties on the other side of the road.
But why would the province want to change the zoning? Yeah. It's already zoned there too.
Well, it's, it is and it isn't, because the new roads and the old roads don't line up.
But
So,
that won't change the zoning. The new road and the old road not lining up won't change the zoning.
well, it does in that the residential buildable areas don't match up with the plan, right? If you overlaid the old drawing and the new drawing, the roads are in different locations. So there's
but-
going to be
but the-
some properties that may be half of one zone and half another zone. So I think there is some rezoning required.
I've never heard of a road dictating a zone. Roads are put through, whether it's a residential area, or commercial area, the roads are put through. I've never heard of a zone that dictated the road.
Yeah, I guess maybe it's deceiving with the subdivision concept.
Yeah, so the plan does have roads going through it, correct? The plan, the East Royalty plan? Is that what you're looking at? Adam?
Mhm.
It does have roads going through it? Yeah.
Can we pull up the city's zoning drawing?
Can you do that, Jason?
Maybe flip to my presentation, Jason, because I do have the East Royalty Master Plan sections.
Oh, you do?
Transportation.
Was that part of your plan, Laurel? Did it have the master plan from the East Royalty?
Yes, it does.
Master plan, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, take your time, take your time.
But Laura, you'll be able to answer the question. Does the zoning have to change to put a road through?
No.
No.
No, a road can go through any zone.
Yeah. So the zoning should be able to stay the same if you're talking about lining up your road.
I guess is what I'm saying, Terry, is that I think that the road is going to kind of punch through the middle of some of these zoning boundary lines, because there's 3 or 4 or 5 different zonings in there, that there's going to have to be some rezoning to make that zoning kind of fall
Well, my street is zoned R1 and it flows into an R2, which flows up into an R3.
Right.
Same people can travel it. But put the road in didn't change any of those zones were there.
Okay,
I'm just kind of lost.
yeah, no, I think but
And maybe I'm not explaining it well, but you could end up in a situation where you have a boundary line between, let's just say, an R2 and an R1, and
bunch of roads.
we move our road, so now a lot has a little bit of R2 and a little bit of R1 on it. So what zoning is it? Because we've kind of moved that boundary and where the,
They're all R2.
Yeah, I think they're all.
We don't need to
R2.
change the
Okay.
zone.
Laurel, just, can we go back to your plan, the master? You got it there? There are the subject properties, okay. So we're R2S, R2S, R1L,
I'm going to flip to the,
okay.
so this was the,
Can
Your
you,
worship,
can you enlarge it?
Yeah.
That's it, just take it over to the right there, a little bit. Okay, okay. So Adam, there you are, Laurel, so you want to explain what's,
okay, so this is the original, this is the concept for Montgomery Heights. So it shows the road connectivity and some of the proposed zoning. It included MUR, some high density, which is over here, and then a mix of semis and singles and MUR. So you can see that the MUR went down to this corner of Emily Drive. And then if I flip to, oh, I'm trying to maybe zoom out again so I can go to the next slide.
So, but still, why would you change it? It's already zoned.
yeah, just one
You
second.
had your potential roads going through.
Okay.
So
is
the
that-
road configuration's changed a little bit. These are general, this is to show the general alignment of where the roads have to connect to. The transportation master plan with East Royalty, which shows the connectivity. So then if I go back to the zoning map, essentially it's this piece here and a piece to about here that's going to propose to go to MUR. And we do have to clarify that group home thing because we've been looking at the bylaw where we're sitting here and it's not listed as a use in that MUR zone. So I think there is some discrepancies that have to be cleaned up. So essentially, what you would be looking at is addition of maybe one or two houses as opposed to just singles and semi-detached, if that does get rezoned, this piece here and here.
But it doesn't need to be rezoned for a road, to put a road through.
No, your road can go, depending, or
Okay.
no matter what the zone is. But Adam is correct that if there is a property, when they go to lay out the subdivision plan, and if there are properties that have straddled zoning, then the zoning would have to be adjusted for that one or two properties that happens.
Okay,
So that happens with any subdivision planning, when we're dealing with a subdivision, if we're dealing with a split zone that falls on a lot.
I
Councilor.
think
But
that's,
in this area, though, is it not that, and you had explained earlier, that it's, there's so much density for single family, so much density for duplexes? So that would depend what's built there.
So the MUR zone requires a percentage of singles, semis, and townhouses. The R2S zone is 100% semi-detached dwellings.
Correct.
You can put single detached dwellings, but most likely, when developers develop that zone, they go 100% semi-detached because they can get more density. Where the MUR zone, it requires a percentage of all three uses. So you get a mix of singles, semis, and townhouses. The R2S is straight 100% semi-detached dwellings.
Okay.
If that's provides.
Councilor McCabe, you did have your button pressed. You just, can you just? Okay, because I'm just going to pop over to Councillor Beck.
Yeah, so the concern seemed to lay around the group home or potential, one lady was talking about a potential apartment, which have been clarified that there is no, the group home kind of seems to be a little bit of a, still not totally clarified. But I guess what I'm wondering is if it does change, or if we were to change it to a MUR, can you limit within the MUR what can you dictate, say, we'll change it to MUR, but it can only go with? Is that a possibility?
That's a question for Emily. Emily or Mr. Michael Russ, Director of Integrated Growth. Master Planner.
Yes, Your Worship. So the MUR zone already stipulates what can go in the zone and the percentages. So 25 or 20, I think it's 20% or 25% has to be singles, 25% has to be,
I'm looking at the MUR, it says 35% of the lots have to be single detached.
singles. Yes,
Townhouses, stack houses have to be 25% of the lots, semi-detached, 25% of the lots.
correct. And there was a provision for community care facilities within that zone, and if they didn't use the percentage for a community care facility, then it would have to go to single detached dwellings. We already have some MUR zoning within the Montgomery Heights area that's a substantial size piece of land, and there has been no appetite for community care facilities in that area, and the developer is actually trying to have that rezoned to go to multi-unit housing. It's in another area of East Royalty.
Okay. Councillor McCabe?
I know we ran into this with group home dwellings too already, and Deputy was with me when we had meetings, because group homes are permitted on a lot in residential and mixed-use zones. So it really depends on the interpretation of how the bylaw's written, and as we go into the zoning and development bylaw, it'll be good to make sure that the wording's clear. I know we had asked for that previous. But I'm kind of with Councillor Bernard on this, with as far as, you know, I'm not hearing a whole lot of objection from the community on the school. It sounds great. We can still put roadways in, leave it as R2, keep people happy. Can we have a separate can it be a separate application where you don't have to have, where they come and say, can we rezone this parcel of land for MUR for the school and pull out on the MUR for the residential lots? Again, I don't understand if is it the applicant or is it the people that hold the land that are trying to change the zoning? Because really, does the province care if it's MUR or if it's R2S, or is it, I'm just looking for clarification.
No, I think,
Mr. Clark?
and I think Laurel said it better than I was able to say it when I tried to explain it, that we, in my opinion, we'd be straddling zoning, and that's why we were of the opinion that we had to rezone it. We also had to deal with that open space area that we've shown, which is zoned R2S now, that has to go to open space. So just for simplicity's sake, I think on our end, we just said, well, let's rezone the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
We need to get some blue institutional in here. Some of it's already mixed use on the side. We want to leave ourselves flexibility for what we don't know what we're going to do in the future. We don't have any budget to do any housing developments. For simplicity, let's leave it as mixed use. Didn't want to straddle zoning, figured it had to be rezoned anyways, knew we had to deal with the open space.
Yeah. But Adam, this is not a game stopper. We need the school. The school has to be expanded, so that project's still going ahead.
Well,
What?
we need the property rezoned to go
Yeah,
ahead with the
that's it.
school, right?
No, for the school. Yep, go ahead.
So yes, of course he needs to rezone the property for the MUR, which is the blue piece on the original, on the plan that you showed.
No, he has to rezone.
He doesn't have to rezone the housing part, though.
No, there's a part there that where the new school's going, it has to be.
Yes.
Zone
Can you
institutional.
show that blue again?
Right.
Just- There's a big piece of blue.
But it's not zoned yet. Correct? Is that zoned
That's
in,
yeah,
all
you
that
don't
is
need
zoned?
MUR zoning.
What? Is it
currently zone different types of residential.
Right, you need the institutional zone for the school,
Correct.
but you don't need the MUR for the
Well, I guess I
residential
defer to
properties.
planning on whether that needs to get rezoned or not. I thought it did because it straddled two different zoning types. And we also need to deal with the open space zoning. So to me, there was a rezoning required. I defer to staff on whether it's actually required.
It's been deferred to staff. We're looking at Laurel Palmer and Mike.
Required, not preferred.
So yes, your worship, it's not required. However, I don't know, to clarify this a little more, I understand what Adam's saying. It's when you put the road through, it depends where the lot, when you lay out the lots, where the boundaries are going to be located. So you might have to adjust the zoning then. However, with the MUR zone, because if you did go and rezone what they're proposing to rezone to MUR, probably what would happen is the townhouses would be located here adjacent to the MUR, if there were townhouses, and the high density, this is zoned for apartment buildings, and you would still have the singles and semis down in this corner. That would be, so I mean, it's semantics, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. You wouldn't have to adjust a zone boundary later, but in the end, you're probably gonna end up with singles and semi-detached dwellings in this area. That would be the most logical path to locate them, because you're dealing with percentages, so you have to allocate a percentage of each use within that zone. It's just not one straight use.
Yeah.
Where it is with the R2S zone.
Yeah. So just for a clarification for the residents, this information goes back to the planning department. Then they make a recommendation that goes to planning board. Planning board makes a recommendation to council. There'll be another opportunity to sit in on the planning board meeting, and it'll be up to the chair if she allows anyone to speak or not to speak. So that's where we're going to leave it. Okay? Good. Councilor Bernard, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, I just have one quick question. I'm just wondering, so if the province is looking to buy this, could they not do a development agreement if it goes MUR, that there be no community care or group homes built?
Can't.
Can't do a development agreement on that land?
Earl?
You could, but I don't think there's gonna be a requirement for it, because
I
there
don't
isn't
know, I don't
enough
think it's a
land.
requirement. I'm asking the government, is that something that they would consider doing if it was to be changed to an MOU or MUR? Would they sign a development agreement to be no community care or group home built there?
So, your worship, the group home, I think we're gonna have to provide clarification on that.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna need a legal opinion, because it isn't listed as a use in the zone, so there is a concern there. If you look in some of the R3 and R4 zones, they list it as group home limited in those zones. It's not listed at all in the MUR zone, and it was never intended to be in the MUR zone. So we're going to need some legal clarification on that. I
Yeah.
think there's going to have to be a bylaw amendment.
Because section 20, subsection 2.1, it says combination of townhouses, semi-detached, duplex, single detached, nursing homes, and community care facilities.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see, and where is that, what section is it?
It's under section 22.1 permitted uses, and there's 11 permitted uses. The first one includes an R1S zone. The number 10 says specifically group homes. I printed this off, your bylaws today. They're in the zoning bylaws. It says, now, we already have a group
Oh,
home in our subdivision,
okay.
which
So
is not in.
Mr. Gundrum, our manager of development, planning and development. David, do you want to?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship, and just through the chair, I would like to clarify and echo what Laurel Palmer's mentioned. The MUR nor the R3, which is pointed to by the MUR as allowing for permitted use, in either of those permitted land use lists, the group home and group home limited are not listed as permitted uses. Community care facility is, which implies a nursing home. And community institutional is also a permitted use, but that does not cover off for any form of group home. I just want to make that clarification.
Okay. So Mark, you have someone down in your team that wants to speak to it? Mark McDonald? You just want to come up, sir? Yep. Just give your name.
Sorry, Tim Gallant with CBCL. I didn't catch your name earlier. Claire. I believe the version of the bylaws that you're looking at are dated August 1st, and I think there's been another version that supersedes them that does not have those 10 or 11 items listed in it.
I'm looking at my version. It doesn't have them.
So I think Laurel can confirm, but I think that's what's going on. I think that's what the confusion surrounding group homes is being caused by.
Laurel, can you look into it and make sure that we have it addressed?
Yes, Your Worship, I'm going to have to check with the policy division tomorrow to see if there was any amendments, because we're not seeing it in our bylaw either.
Okay. Could be an older version, Claire. Okay. Good. Okay. Thank you for coming out this evening. Thank you very much. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Mark, and team from CBCL. Always good to have the team from CBCL come into City Hall. Have a look at what's going on. Introduction of new business. We're still live? Can you just shut her down? What? Yep. Well, we
My understanding. Yeah.
Yeah, you're with CBCL.
Tim is as well, yeah.
I think that's all that's going on. I think she just grabbed an old version off the city's website.
Yeah, you got pretty familiar with the bylaw there. So
I started looking it up. On my phone once I realized
okay.
that I thought they were looking at different things because Laurel was adamant that it wasn't in there.
Yeah.
And this other person's got it printed off. I'm like, wondering if there's more versions though. Looking online, pulling versions, checking the revision dates.
The most current.
Yeah. So if you go to the IRAC site, this one was amended August 20th and listed October 1st, 2018. All of these are old, but if you go straight to the city's website, you can see this one is August 1st, 2018.
2018.
So then it was October 2018, August 20th, 2019.
Gotcha.
There are newer versions than what I believe she was.
Right.